Ave Maria, everyone. Welcome back to the Roman Martyrology. This is May 5th. At Auxerre in Gallia Lugdunensis, now in France, Saint Jovinian, lector and martyr. At Alexandria of Egypt, Saint Euthymius, deacon and martyr. Commemoration of Saint Maximus, Bishop of Jerusalem, who, after having had his eye gouged out and his foot burned with a burning iron, was condemned by Caesar Maximinus Daia to forced labor. Then left free, he was placed at the head of the Church of Jerusalem, where, having become famous for his glorious confession of faith, he rested in peace. At Trier in Gallia Belgica, in present-day Germany, Saint Brito, bishop, who defended his flock from the Priscillianist heresy, but tried in vain, together with Saints Ambrose of Milan and Martin of Tours, to oppose the ferocity of those who wanted the death of Priscillian and his followers. At Arles in Provence, Saint Hilaire, bishop, who promoted against his will from the hermitage of Lorraine to the episcopate, working with his hands, wearing a single tunic both in summer and winter, and always going on foot, made visible to all his love for poverty. Dedicated to prayer, fasting, and vigils, he worked tirelessly in the ministry of the Word, revealed God's mercy to sinners, welcomed orphans, and promptly allocated all the money collected from the city's basilicas to the ransom of prisoners. At Vienne in Gallia Lugdunensis, now in France, Saint Nicetas, bishop. At Milan, Saint Geroncio, bishop. At Marchienne in Gallia Belgica, now in France, Saint Maurand, abbot and deacon, disciple of Saint Amandus. At Limoges in the region of Aquitaine, France, Saint Sacerdos, who was at first a monk and abbot, then a bishop, and finally chose to lead a monastic life. At Hildesheim in Saxony and Germany, Saint Gottardo, bishop, who as the first abbot of the monastery of Niederaltaich, visited and established other monasteries. Then, having succeeded Saint Bernard in this episcopal see, he worked for the good of his church, re-established the observance of religious discipline among the clergy, and opened schools. In Calabria, Saint Leo, hermit, who dedicated himself to contemplation and good works for the poor, and died in Africo near Reggio, in the monastery he himself founded. At Vincennes near Tours in France, Saint Avertine, deacon, who, having followed Saint Thomas Becket into exile, who returned after his killing in Vincennes, led a hermitic life there. At Licata in Sicily, Saint Angelo, priest of the Carmelite order and martyr. At Recanati in the Marches, Blessed Benvenuto Marini da Recanati, religious of the order of minors. At Naples, Saint Nunzio Suprizio, who, orphaned, suffering from gangrene in one leg and weak in body, endured everything with a serene and joyful spirit. He took care of everyone, benevolently consoled his fellow sufferers, and, despite his poverty, tried to alleviate the misery of the poor in every way. At Somasca near Bergamo, Blessed Caterina Cittadini, virgin, who, orphaned from childhood, was a humble and wise educator. She dedicated herself with commitment to the education of poor girls and the teaching of Christian doctrine. For this reason, founding the Institute of the Ursuline Sisters of Somasca. At Dresden in Germany, Blessed Gregors Frakowiak, religious of the Society of the Divine Word and martyr, who, thrown into prison during the war, died for Christ with a blow of the axe. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Ave Maria.